Okay, girls, so this is the first question you are going to be doing. Now let me remind you, it is the same as lesson 4 which we did. The plus becomes minus, the minus becomes plus. That's called, remember there was a word which I used on that day, inverse operation. Inverse means the opposite of each other. Now we are going to learn about multiplication and division. So what's the opposite of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. Okay, now again, I don't want you to use the way which they have shown in the book, okay, because that's also the correct way of doing it, but I don't want you to get confused with that. So don't use this, where you use the one which I have shown you with the black letters. So the question for you is 14D equals 4200. So the rule is the same, girls. We need to isolate the letter. Okay, remember, like yesterday I told you, D has got, the letters have got some virus. So we need to remove the letter from the number. So what does 14D means? 14D means 14 multiplied by D. Correct? So what is the opposite of multiplication? Division, right? So you are going to move the 14 to the other side, keeping D alone. Isolate the D. D has got virus, so we are not going to keep the number and the letter together. Okay, so what happens to the multiply? It becomes divide. So 4200 divided by 14. Now 4200 divided by 14, you can see that there are 2 zeros. So don't use the zeros. You just divide 42 by 14. So 14 times what gives you 42? 14 times 1 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 14 times 3 is 42. So 42 divided by 4 is 3. And we just add the 2 zeros which are already in the question above. Okay, so I want you to cross that part and write down these steps. I'm giving you a minute, so please write those steps down. Okay, are you all done? So let's move on to the next question. So this is example 1 in your book. I have made it really tiny here. I just took only the picture so that you will know which example I am doing. But the question is written for you here separately. Okay, this is your question. 2 over 3n equals 1 over 4. So how are you going to solve this question? First you need to think 2 over 3n. What does 2 over 3n means? 2 over 3n, why is a number and a letter together? Because they are multiplied. So you will not do those steps which are given in your book. Rather you will follow these steps which I am showing you. Okay, so 2 over 3n means 2 over 3 multiplied by n, right? By now you all girls know this, 2 over 3 multiplied by n. If a number and a letter are written together, means that they are multiplied. Okay, now what's the next step? N has got virus, n's very sick. Okay, so what are you going to do? You are going to move the number to the other side with the number, and what happens to the multiply sign? You are going to divide it. Okay, so how are you going to write the next equation? Circle the number with the symbol. So we know that we are going to move it to the other side of the equation. So 2 over 3 multiplied will become n equals 1 over 4 divided by 2 over 3. Because multiply will change to divide and then fraction will move to the other side. Now make sure you don't write 2 over 3 divided by 1 over 4. No, the number which is with the equal sign stays with the equal sign. Okay, now we are going to divide. Can we divide fractions? Remember KCF. Keep it, change it, flip it, because we cannot divide fractions, so we need to keep it. Keep 1 over 4, change, divide to multiply, and flip it, so 3 over 2. Now you can multiply it. 1 multiplied 3 equals 3, 4 multiplied by 2 equals 8. So n is equal to 3 over 8. This is what you need to do. Okay, if you have any doubts, just pause the video here and just look at the steps what is done. You will understand it very easily. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is question 1. You can see I have given the small picture of the question, and for more easiness I have made it clear for you. Okay, this is the question. 2.5m equals 10. So how are you going to solve it? First thing, you need to separate the number from the letter. So to separate the number, we need to write it as 2.5 multiplied by m, because they both are together, which means 2.5 is multiplied by m. So what's the next step? Circle the number with the multiplication sign and move it to the other side, right? So what happens when multiply move to the other side? It becomes m equals 10 divided by 2.5. Okay, don't change the places. The number which is with the equal sign should be with the equal sign. Only move the other number to the behind the number. Okay, so how are you going to solve this? 10 divided by 2.5. So we are going to divide with a decimal number. Can we divide with a decimal number? Think. These are the things which we learned. This is why I always keep saying don't forget what you learned, because it never leaves you. So we cannot divide with a decimal number. When the divisor is having a decimal number, we cannot divide. So we need to move the decimal away. So when you move the decimal away, what happens? You have to add a 0 to the number, right? Now we have 100 divided by 25. So you know that 100 divided by 25 equals 4. So m is equal to 4. Okay, only the confusing thing for you is here is because of the decimal point. You need to move the decimal point, right? Which means you need to add a 0 to the number. So then you have 100 divided by 25, which will give you 4. Okay, now moving on to question number 2. You have 3x equals 10. Now from here onwards, they have asked you to check the solution. So you need to check it. That's why I have divided the page into 2 so that we can check. Okay, so the question is 3x equals 210. Now again, what does 3x equals 210 means? It means 3 multiplied by x equals 210, right? So what happens? What do you have to do? Circle the number and the symbol, and you have to move them to the other side. So what happens to the multiply? It becomes divide. So your equation will be x is equal to 210 divided by 3, which is equal to 70. 21 divided by 3 is 7. You simply put the 0 there. Now let's check. You are going to check. Okay. So first write the equation as given in the question and replace the x with the answer we got. So that is 3 multiplies 70. 3 multiplies 70 is 210 because 3 sevens are 21 and add the 0. So now is both our equation sides correct? We have 210 on this side. We have 210 on this side, which means the answer we got is also correct. This is how you check. Okay, it's very easy, right? So let's move on to the next question. That is question number 3. We have again 2.8 equals 4t. This is your question. Now again, which number is with the letter 4 is with t, which means the t is sick. It has got a virus. You need to move the 4 to the other side. So let's first write down 2.8 equals 4 multiplied by t. Now I'm giving you a minute, solve it, and let's check if your answer is correct or not. Start solving it. Did you all circle the number with the symbol? Okay. Did you all move the number with the symbol and make it opposite to the other side? So did you all get 2.8 divided by 4? Okay. So now you have to divide it. So this is how you need to write it, okay? So now let me help you on this. You cannot divide 2 by 4, right? So you put a 0 there. How are you going to divide this now? You need to divide 28 by 4. But before that, don't forget to put the decimal point right above on top. Now, how much is 28 divided by 4? That's going to give you 7, because 4 sevens are 28, right? So t is equal to 0.7. Now let's check it together. Okay, so first write the equation as given in the question. So 2.8 equals 4t. Now what's the next step you are going to do? You are going to replace t with 0.7, right? So 4 multiplied by 0.8, 0.7. Is that going to give you 2.8? Let's check. 4 sevens are, right, 28. So you put 8 there and you carry 2 to the next place. So 4 zeros are 0 plus 2 will give you 2. So now, is that the end? Where is the decimal point? So don't forget to put the decimal point right under each other. So 4 multiplied by 0.7 is 2.8, which means we got 2.8 on both the sides, which means our answers are right on both the sides, and also the answer we found for t is also right. Okay, quickly let's move on to question number 4. Okay, I'll give you a minute. Start solving the question. Okay, now of course you have to separate the 1 over 3 with n. 1 over 3 n means 1 over 3 multiplied by n, right? So circle the number with the symbol and move it to the other side. So multiply becomes divide, right? So 15 divided by 1 over 3. Now again we have divide, we cannot divide, so we use again KCF. We keep it, change it, and we flip it. Now why did I put 15 over 1? Because there is no denominator for 15, which means always the denominator is a 1. So 3 multiplied by 15 is going to be 45 over 1. So answer is n is equal to 45. Now let's check it together if the answer is correct. So the first step is write the equation the same and replace the n with 45. So you are going to get 1 over 3 multiplied by 45 over 1, Okay, so 45s are 45, 3 ones are 3. If you divide 45 by 3, you will be getting 15. So, which means we have 15 on both sides. So, our checking is also correct. And our answer, which is n equals to 45, is also correct. Easy, right? Only that you need to remember all what you learned before about fractions. Okay, now quickly moving on to question number 6. Now question 5 we will not do. If you can, you please do it, because now you guys know how to do, right? So I will do question number 6 because it's a different one. So this is the question for you. 25 equals a over 5. Now a over 5, right? What does this a over 5 show you? Over 5 means divided by 5, right? So what's the opposite of divide? A and 5 are together. So a divided by 5. What's the opposite of divide? Multiply. So what happens when the 5 moves to the other side? It becomes multiply by 5 because it's divide. So the opposite of divide is multiply. So we are simply going to multiply 25 by 5. So that's going to give you 125. Whether you write a equals 125 or 125 equals a, it's the same. Okay, so let's check the answer, whether our answer is correct or not. Write the equation the same as the question, and only you have to put 125 in place of a because that's the answer we got. So is 125 divided by 5 going to give us 25? Divide and check, do the long division and check whether 125 divided by 5 is 25. Yes, you will get 25. So which means our checking is right as well as our answer is right too. Okay girls, now I will stop with question 6, but please do question 7 by yourself. And now for problem solving, I'm not doing the remaining 2 questions, but go on to the next page. Only this problem solving I'll be doing from this lesson. Okay, so here is the problem solving for you. What are they saying? They are saying that Melinda has a block of clay that weighs 14.4 ounces. Okay, she divides the clay into 6 equal pieces. To find the weight W in ounces of each piece, Melinda solved the equation 6W equals 14.4. So you can see that Melinda has solved this question in the left box. So according to you, you don't see what Melinda did. Okay, before you see what Melinda did, you think to find W, what are we going to do? 6W equals 14.4. So 6 multiply W. So to remove the 6 to the other side, the opposite of multiply is divide. So you have to divide 14.4 by 6, right? But what did Melinda do? See what she has done. She has divided the 6 by 6 and multiplied 14.4 with 6. I know, right? In your mind it is going on, Melinda is stupid. I know, because you just have to divide 14.4 by 6. So that's what you are going to do and correct your answers on the other box which is to the right. Okay, so on the right side box we are going to solve the question. This is what's wrong, right? The one which is circled is what's wrong, because she divided 6 by 6 on one side and she multiplied from the other side. Okay, so the first step what you're going to do is write the equation 6W equals 14.4 and then W equals 14.4 divided by 6. So if there is enough space for you there, you can show these steps, because without doing the steps we will not know what W is. So you have to write your question like this. Let's solve it. Can you divide 1 by 6? Of course not, so that's going to be a 0 there. I did not put the 0. If you want, you can put it. So because you cannot divide 1 by 6, you're going to divide 14 by 6. So 14 divided by 6 is going to give you 2, because 6 2s are 12. Now you will subtract it. 4 minus 2 is 2, right? 1 minus 1 is 0. Again, I did not put that. What's the next thing to do? Bring the 4 down. So you will have 24. Now 24 divided by 6 is going to give you 4, right? Now you multiply 6 with 4, that is going to give you 24. You subtract it, you will get a 0. Now, is W equal to 24? Is it? No, you are forgetting something. What did we forget? There it bounced. 2.4, the point. You did not put the point. So, if you have put the point before I did, well done. But if you have not, then do put the point. Okay? So, W is going to be 2.4. This is the correct way to do it, whereas Melinda did something and the answer is wrong. Okay, now I hope you girls have understood this lesson. All what you have to do is do the homework on page 445. 55. You girls know what I usually say. Question 2 till 11 and the next page 1 and 2. Okay, so these are your questions for homework. So if you have not understood the lesson, do watch the video again. It's not difficult, only you have to do the opposite. If it's a multiply question, you have to divide it. If it's a divide question, you have to multiply it. That's all. So I hope it was an easy lesson for you girls, because on Sunday again we will be starting a new lesson. Okay, so do the homework. We will discuss the homework on Sunday. Until that, have a nice weekend, and again, as I always say, don't forget what you studied. Keep in mind so that it will be easier for you for the next lesson. Okay, until then, take care and stay safe.